There comes a point where a man notices something unsettling. He's doing the right things. He's exercising restraint. He is choosing discipline over impulse. And yet, he feels more alone than before. Less noise, fewer conversations, more distance, even from people he once felt close to. Many men assume this means something has gone wrong. Ancient men knew better. They understood this moment not as failure, but as the beginning of discipline. Discipline does not arrive loudly. It doesn't announce itself with confidence or clarity. It begins quietly, with separation. Not because you reject others, but because your standards start to rise without explanation. And that change always alters your environment first. Most connection between men is built on shared permission. Permission to delay. Permission to complain. Permission to avoid discomfort together. When you remove that permission from yourself, something shifts. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop explaining your choices. You stop participating in avoidance. Ancient traditions observe this clearly. Discipline isolates first because it dissolves excuses. And when excuses disappear, many conversations end with them. This silence is not emptiness. It is clarity forming. At this stage, most men retreat, not because discipline is too hard, but because the quiet feels unfamiliar. They mistake isolation for loss, and they return to noise to feel normal again. Ancient training warned about this moment, because what happens next determines whether discipline survives. When you stop reacting, people notice. When you stop explaining, they speculate. When you stop joining complaints, others feel exposed. Ancient Stoics wrote that discipline draws criticism long before it draws respect. Not because discipline is arrogant, but because it refuses to participate in emotional chaos. You are not punished for discipline. You are tested for it. And most men fail the test by trying to make themselves comfortable again. But if a man does not retreat here, something changes. The loneliness transforms. Over time, solitude stops feeling empty. It starts feeling organized. Thoughts sharpen. Decisions simplify. Energy stops leaking. Ancient men did not treat solitude as exile. They treated it as compression, pressure that refines. Discipline does not isolate you forever. It filters. And what remains is quieter, but stronger. Modern life teaches men to avoid silence. Noise is sold as connection, busyness as importance, reaction as authenticity. But discipline requires the opposite: stillness, distance, restraint. That is why it feels unnatural. Not because it is wrong, but because it is rare. Discipline does not begin with confidence. It begins with the willingness to stand alone without immediately filling the space. Those who endure this phase gain something uncommon: self-trust without witness. And once discipline stabilizes, isolation no longer feels heavy. It feels deliberate. The next lesson explains what happens when discipline hardens into identity, and why after that point, going back is no longer possible.